He's
Okay,
coming
well,
up.
we're going to move ahead
Yes.
and
The bigger picture.
maybe
It'd be
turn
great
up the
to see
mixer
the
volume,
full
the red.
screen. Okay, we'll just watch in a little.
But we should all mute ourselves. We should all mute.
Yeah, everybody needs to mute. Okay, pardon?
You could share a different
I'm
view
going to eat.
instead of just the one shared.
I'm muting, and I have the big picture. I have the big
from Buenos
picture.
Aires.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in a little picture and we'll talk about it
Okay,
after.
we're going to move ahead and
Aye.
hopefully they can at least hear us.
Yes, yes.
So as I was saying,
No.
sanity.
Okay, we can
I have a
hear.
little bit of that up here this morning,
Aye.
insanity. But here's the thing. Our party's really doing a lot. We really are. And you're going to hear about it today. We've got the honoree dinner coming up a week from today. We've got the October 18th big indivisible demonstration that we're going to very, very strongly support and work for maximum turnout for. We have a whole bunch of information on petitions coming your way this morning. There's going to be a read-in on National Banned Books Day, and there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff that we're doing. So I'm just saying to you, and we're all just saying to you, please participate as much as you can. Be as generous with your time as you can. Summer, it's kind of hard to do that, but you know, people are leaving, people are going to where their winter places are. Many of us are staying here in town. Wherever you land and you stopped moving for the winter, for the fall, and in fact, please get involved in any ways that you can, not way, but ways that you can. Okay, that's really what my plea is to all of us. Okay, so thank you. Next up here, I hope Mary, who's on Zoom, is going to talk to us about the first thing I mentioned, which was the honoree dinner.
Mary needs to unmute herself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'll just be with our peeps. This is the time. Don't wait. And so we, in our prophetic goodness, are having a Charlotte Roebling honoree dinner to honor all the volunteer work of all of you. And we've selected three different people to honor, but it really is an honoring of all of the volunteer work. There is no democracy. There is no freedom. There is no speech without the efforts of all of you. So that night, while we celebrate Ed Hookturp and Jim Dalzo and the T-shirt guy.
No meeting?
Pardon?
Person that's supposed to put up the.
When we celebrate all those people, we're also celebrating and thanking all of you. So that night, we're going to have Andy Levin, who's graciously agreed to come up and be our keynote speaker. And you probably know him from being a congressman when he was a very progressive, fabulous congressman. He also is the owner of Lean and Green, which he has owned for a long time with his wife, Mary, and they founded it together. Their efforts cover 75% of Michigan and help to reduce the footprint of organizational costs and carbon footprint. And they offer all sorts of ways to do that. So he's coming. It's going to be a wonderful night. Now, what do you need to do to go? We're doing different than we've ever done before. First, you need to make a reservation. And you make a reservation two ways. You call into the office or you go to benzedemocrats.com and you leave a note. And the note you leave, what we want to know from you is how many people and what your phone number is. And we can only take 100 of you, and we want as many people as possibly can come and join us. The other ways, so you make your reservation, and we're going to have a potluck that night. And the potluck is you bring a dish to pass. Hopefully it's somehow connected to your family heritage, but it can just be something good and wonderful that you love to eat and that you want to share with your friends. And we're going to have beer, and you bring your own wine, and we're going to have special bubbly at your table for you as another gift to the volunteers for having done so much work. So how do you give? This is our only fundraiser of the year. And everything else we do, we're raising money for other people, but this is for us. This fundraiser keeps our lights on. It keeps the office staff, the office open. It keeps billboards up. It keeps advertising in the newspapers. It helps us do our work, and you are fundamental, and the money is fundamental. So we know sometimes people don't have a lot of money one month. Sometimes they've got a lot. Please give as generously as you possibly can, because this is I don't need to tell you because you already know it's a very, very important election. So how do you give? We've got a few ways to make it easy on you. Up until the 15th of October, you can go online and you can donate. Go to donate in the Benzie Dems slot, go to headquarters, and anything that it comes in through the headquarters click is going to the dinner. You can mail us a check or bring a check into the office and just put in the corner dinner, or you can give at the door. We're going to have lots of music. We're going to have lots of fun. We have lots of special things that are going to happen that night, and we want all of you to be a part of it. So don't forget to register. Don't forget to be one of the 100. We're keeping an extra list of people who don't get in to the 100. So if somebody suddenly can't go, and it opens up a couple places, we're going to be able to call you, which is why we need your number. We're going to be able to call you and tell you, oh, hey, Diane, there's a space for you and you can come. So does anybody have any questions? I know I gave you a lot of info all at once. It's a little not sexy, but anybody have questions? Yes, Cindy?
Yes. Thank you. So there's no way to email you, Mary, or do something electronically?
You can do two things. You can email benziedemocrats.com and tell them you're coming.
Okay.
And you can go to our website and make your donation in the headquarters click. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Could you repeat the time and the date and the place?
Oh, so sorry. I didn't even give it. Sorry. It's the 27th. I'm nuts. It's the 27th of September, which is a week from today. It's at 6 o'clock, and it's at the Mills Community Center, up in the great wooden, beautiful ballroom with all windows that open up into the beautiful skies of Benzie County. And there is an elevator. And we know that we are less able-bodied than we have been as we age. So there are going to be some things there that'll go. Anything else?
Thank you, Mary.
Diane?
Thanks.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Mary, when you were describing sending in a reservation, I think we would like to know what they're bringing, if they can give us that information, what food they're bringing.
Oh, they can, but they don't need to. Just
No.
bring your heart.
No, I understand that, but if they're doing a reservation and they know what they're bringing, if they could just let you know.
Sure.
Okay, well,
Mary,
thank you.
Mary, can you put that information in the chat for everybody also?
Yes, I will. Thank you,
Can you
guys.
please put your question in the chat? We need to move on.
We need to move on, so
Okay.
please mute everybody also.
Great. Thank you, Mary. So it's a week from today, and it's 6 o'clock in the night, and it's at the Mills House Ballroom. It's a great place, and we'll have a great time together. So thank you all in advance for getting into this. I forgot to mention right at the top of the meeting, we have a special guest here today, a woman who's running for the state Senate seat in our area. Rebecca Amidon is here. Could you put up your hand, Rebecca? Yeah. And I trust, Rebecca, you'll be hanging around after the meeting to pump some more paws, right? Okay, great.
And hello, Rebecca.
You're good. You're on. Go.
Okay, it's for Zoom only. Okay, so we are having a Benzie County launch. I am running for the Michigan State Senate in District 32. It will be this Thursday, September 25th, from 2 to 4 p.m. right here. So please come out, support us. This is a grassroots campaign because we're not taking any type of corporate backed money. So I hope to see all of you. It is this Thursday, September 25th from 2 to 4, and I brought some handouts. I'll pass it around so that you can all have one.
Well, keep people aware of that through email, through our constant contact.
Great. Okay, next up on the firing line here, we have Kira Duvin, our vice chair. Here, get this for you, dear. Got enough cord there?
You're standing on the cord. Thank you.
All right, okay. I'm going to try to be quick because there's a lot to get to and there's a lot of really important information about petitions. But I wanted to talk again about our effort to stop the banning of books or to push back against it. So do we have our first slide? We will have in a moment. As we know, many of our rights are being eroded and we just can't let reading be another one of those rights that would be gone with the wind, which has been a banned book. And I like, a free society reads freely. So we really need to take this seriously. And you'll see why in a minute or a few minutes.
Coming up.
But at any rate, the American Library Association has a Read Banned Books Week. And this is their theme is Censorship is So 1984. Yep, read for your rights. And so they're great with this, and they have designated the week of October 4th through the 11th as Read Banned Books Week. Read Banned Books. So let's the next slide, please. Oh dear, this could be a little slow.
Just keep talking.
Keep talking about, so over here we have a display of many of all the books that are on that table are banned books. Many banned books are classics. You just can't even believe that Moby Dick is on the 100 most banned books list. Grapes of Wrath, The Great Gatsby, The Call of the Wild, on and on. And oh, good, we have a slide. So this slide shows you how in the last 20 years, there have been approximately or average of 46 books that have been challenged for banning a year, 46 a year for the last 20 years until we get to 3-4 years ago. Now, in 2024, there were 1 year, there were 4,000 attempts to ban books. 4,000. So it went from 40 to 4,000. And next slide. And this is primarily because of groups that are, they're interest groups that it's not a grassroots thing. It's not moms saying this is a bad you know, a bad deal. I don't want this book on in my kid's library. So, so it's primarily these special interest groups that influence people of influence and that get all these books, that are trying to attack all these books. So we'll just keep going. Oh, I thought you said, there we go. That's okay. Yeah. And where are the challenges happening? They're happening in school libraries and public libraries, mostly. There's a little bit going on in a few other places like universities, but by and large, it's those two places. So you can see 72% of the censorship attempts in 2024 were from pressure groups. 72%, not grassroots stuff. So, okay, the American Library Association, next slide, is suggesting that people host a right to read night. So they're suggesting that people come together and read a banned book and talk about it and talk about all this information, how many banned books there are, what are the 10 most banned books in 2024, so that we are armed with information. And when your friend says to you, my grandson is reading Call of the Wild in school and he just loves it, you can say, did you know that was on the banned book list? Did you know that? And then she'll say, no, I didn't know that. I love that book too, but someday some kids might not be able to read it. And little by little, people start talking and getting more aware of what's going on. Go to the next one. Go to the last one.
Cut to the chase.
Oh, shut up. So anyway, we are going to not host a right to read night. We're going to do that one step further. We're going to do that during the day on October 11th, which is what the American Library Association is calling the Right to Read Day. And we will gather in parks near libraries because that's where people who like to read go. And we'll sit there with our information and a bunch of banned books and we'll read and we'll talk about it and we'll make ourselves more aware of the situation. I don't know about that. But at any rate, so we want people to sign up to come and sit either near our libraries and read and talk and become more educated. So we're doing that on October 11th from 11 to 1. So October 11th, 11 to 1, and I'll send around a sheet with that information on it. And just come and have fun with us. And you get to have this cool little button that says, I read banned books. Who doesn't want that? Okay.
Which library?
All of the libraries in Benzie County. We will be at picnic tables that are near the library, but on public land. Okay, that's all. Thank you and goodbye. Oh, wait, I have to talk.
Thank you, Kira. We're not done with you yet, though.
Okay, yeah, I have to talk about billboards real quick. So
billboards.
We have a billboard up. It's 0.4 miles south of 115 and 31. As you're coming into Benzonia, coming this way, it's on the left. It's a great, what's that? It's on 31, just south of where 115, yeah. So it's a great billboard. And we're going to have the next one. So then we have the next 4 weeks after this. So mid-October to mid-November, we'll have the next billboard up here in honor by the ice cream place. And then because of all of your great, because you're also generous and we have generous donors, we have been able to secure billboards from April of 2026 through November, through the election of 2026. I know, you know what I like to say about billboards, everybody hates them and everybody reads them. Yeah, so anyway, we're really excited that we have that opportunity. We had to secure those billboards well ahead of time because they get taken up, the good ones get taken up like that. So at any rate, that's it for the billboards.
We've got some great locations around the county. We won't break that down now, but thank you for your hard work on that, Kira. Thank you. And thank you to the Billboard Committee that helped come up with the messaging, and thanks to Greta Bolger who did all the graphics execution for us. It's been a real team effort all the way through, and we are covered through next November. And I tell you, those Republicans around this county are going, their heads are going to explode when they see what we got lined up. It's great, really is. Yeah, yeah. Pushes back on the depression, isn't it? Okay, next up here, Louise, our secretary, is going to give you a report on what she saw when she went to Baldwin a couple weeks ago.
Hi, everybody. I'm Louise Brody, and there were about 7 or 8 of us who went out to Baldwin from here, where the largest ICE facility in the Midwest is located. And when we were there, it was about 600. There were over 600 people in detention there while we were there. It was very peaceful. We just held signs and had some talking, which I'll talk about in just a second, just briefly. And we could see the facility, but there's a fence all the way around the outside of it. And just inside that fence, you know, on the other side of where we were, there were trucks going back and forth the whole time, white trucks unmarked with dark windows. So we couldn't see who was inside, but they were clearly watching us and watching what we were doing. So, but there was probably videotaping, but we were completely peaceful. So there was no issue from what we were doing. There was a lawyer present there, and I'm sorry if I know I was going to be making a formal report, I would have gotten his name. But he is a lawyer who was actually going inside the facility and talking to people, and he couldn't tell, of course, do a lot of detail. But he did say that she's working on it. He did say that one of the things that's going on is they're moving people from facility to facility. And so those people then lose contact with their friends and relatives who live near them. And then it's much more difficult for them to get any kind of lawyer services. And then I don't know, we don't know. He didn't say anything about physical touching of the people who are in there, but he did say that they're talking at them a lot of time. They told people, oh, those people are going to show up from the left on Saturday and there's going to be a riot outside and stuff like this. And so they're telling them all sorts of things on the inside that aren't true. And then these people are, the lawyer said, losing hope, and they're self-deporting at a pretty high rate. So they're just leaving the country and saying, you know, no more of this. Yeah. Definitely due process rights are being violated. The group that put this on was that there are no detention centers in Michigan. So if you want more information about how to get involved, there are some people who are trying to get it closed, and some people who have been successful in closing other detention centers. So no detention centers in Michigan.org or something. Any questions?
You'll put that in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah, and thanks to those folks who went, and it's a bit of a drive. I'm sure we'll be doing it again. And we were a little hesitant about it because we didn't really know the group that was involved. We hadn't worked with them, and communication with them was difficult. Checking into them first person, in person, they're great people, and we'll be working even harder on this next time. We promise you. It's a big deal. It really is. Okay, next up here, one of the great nonprofit political groups in Michigan these days is Voters Not Politicians. They have done so much good work about making it easier and better and wider spread to vote. They've really dedicated themselves to that. and they've had great results. And it's one reason, not that they're partisan, but they got our state ungerrymandered. And now you can tell that actually some Democrats do live here and got something to say about it, So they're wonderful people, and we're very honored to have Christy McGillivray. I hope I said that right, Christy. The director of the Voters Not Politicians, who's going to talk to us about two things. Number one, there are some bogus petitions out there that are trying to undo their work by making it harder for people to vote. That's what they're doing. They're calling it all these stupid, lying names. Christy will explain that to you. And then she's going to talk about the new initiative that VNP, Voters Not Politicians, has started, which is Michigan money out of politics. MMOP is what they call it. So, Christy, with us by Zoom, please take it away. We got about 12 minutes for you to do those. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to be really fast. So you are going to, if you have more questions, please let me know. I'm going to probably skip some slides. I am really excited that y'all are interested in the attempts to suppress voters right now, because it's incredibly important that we stop this petition before it gets on the ballot. It's very confusing language, and if this makes it on the ballot, it's very likely that it will pass because the language is so confusing. So what's at stake? Obviously, I think everyone knows we have expanded voting rights. I'm not going to belabor the point. It was wildly bipartisan. It turns out that regardless of your political affiliation, a majority of Michiganders do think that we should have free and fair elections, and everyone who's eligible to vote should be able to as easily as possible. So what we're seeing circulating right now is a petition to put on the ballot documentary proof of citizenship, which is what the SAVE Act would have done in Congress. It's one of the MAGA far right's attempts to restrict voting in this country. They were not able to pass it. They were not able to pass it in the House. The State House. They attempted to do it in the State House as well. So two organizations in Michigan have set up shop to circulate petition language to get the documentary proof of citizenship requirement for voting on the ballot. So it's circulating right now. It's been blocked. Again, we're not going to go into these details because we don't have the time right now. So as I mentioned, these are out-of-state groups that are coming into Michigan and circulating these. And a lot of the circulators that we've talked to are actually from out of state as well. And I'm going to go through. So the Committee to Protect Voters' Rights, that one, we haven't seen it in the field as much. The one that we've seen is this one. This is the Americans for Citizen Voting. So what it would do is it would require everyone in Michigan to provide documentary proof, and then it lists what those documentary papers have to be to their local clerk in order to prove that they are a citizen. But the actual definition of documentary proof and the burden to do it in person at your local clerks is what would wind up actually disenfranchising thousands of eligible Michigan voters and keep them from voting. So again, we've only seen the Americans for Citizen Voting one in the field right now, so I'm not going to compare them too much. But they're harmful because what they're going to wind up doing is the burden, and statistically speaking, we've seen this happening in other states. Similar measures have passed in New Hampshire, in Arizona, and a few other states, and they've been through at least one election, and we've seen eligible voters turned away from the polls and denied their constitutionally protected right to vote. And the demographics that are hit the hardest by this are actually rural voters, older voters, women who have changed their name, as we all know, is particularly common, young people who are potentially voting for the first time in college, low-income communities, communities of color. And we see a pattern here. It's pretty clear. They are working to restrict the pool of people that are actually able to cast a ballot to one specific demographic. So that's why they're harmful. It's a lot more work for clerks. It will place a huge burden on local clerks. It's a whole new hoop to jump through. And I think we all know that local clerks have been through a lot right now. And right now, according to the data, I believe this is from the Brennan Center, there are more than 21 million US citizens that don't actually have documentary proof of citizenship readily available. So this is the group of people that would be most impacted by this. We've been through this. So in Arizona, we saw this: college students, young voters, Native populations, anyone who's unhoused, people who have any issue interacting with bureaucracy and obtaining paperwork from the government are going to struggle. Kansas, again, we saw this in Kansas, and Kansas was actually overturned. You saw this pass in 2011. It was actually the Supreme Court at the time put a stop to it. New Hampshire, again, this election just happened. So what we're doing, and we've been doing this since March, before they even got the petitions out in the field, voters, not politicians, hit the ground running. We had our most well-attended Zoom ever. We had almost 600 people attend to learn about this project getting off the ground. And we've gone around systematically letting everyone know what this actually does. And we've been organizing with our volunteers. Whenever we've got a rapid response team, whenever we see one of these petition circulators, we report it. And then we have volunteers come out, and they've been trained in de-escalating questions to ask of the people that are circulating the petition in order to encourage people to not sign. So for example, people are saying it is already a law that you have to be an American citizen to vote. We do not see a statistically significant number of non-citizens voting. This is making up a problem in order to disenfranchise people. And we ask a series of questions about the burden of proof and the burden it's going to put on both voters and clerks. So you can send a letter to the editor about this as well as disrupting the actual petition signatures gatherers if you see them out there. And we have weekly trainings for this. So we haven't stopped, even though they're out in the field now, and we did all this prep work in March, and we've been pushing really hard and disrupting them every step of the way. Until we know for sure that this isn't going to make it on the ballot, we are making this a priority. And every week we're doing trainings to make sure that everyone has what they need in order to, again, peacefully and calmly disrupt and de-escalate any of these signature gatherers when they're out in the field. Because remember, it was wildly bipartisan to expand voting access. This isn't a partisan issue. And when we have calm conversations with circulators and people that are considering signing, in many cases, we have direct reports from the field that people aren't signing. And we even had an amazing update from a volunteer who was, I forget where she was, I think it was like Northern Oakland County. And she spent some time chatting with the ACB circulator that she saw. And she got all sorts of amazing intel from him saying that people haven't been signing, people are telling him that this is going to keep people from voting. And that's a really great indication that this is working, but we got to keep it up. So I am actually going to pause for 1 second to answer any questions before I switch to the next presentation. I'm working to keep an eye on the time. Are there any questions? Oh, Sydney Shapiro. Yes, so it would also place a huge burden on absentee voting. The documentary proof of citizenship would make it harder for folks to register to vote in any capacity, right, including in absentee voting. And I think we've seen that the federal government and people that are associated with the MAGA movement are working to restrict absentee voting in order to suppress the vote. So, oh, great. Sue is noting the circulators. So if anyone would like Decline to Sign flyers, please let us know. I'll make sure that I share the order form. And you can share those with people. If you go and talk to a circulator, you can post them in various places and just put in an order, and we'll make sure that we get you the literature so that folks in your area understand what this petition actually does.
Okay. We have a question in the audience here.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you a simple thing. Mm-hmm. What is a DPOC at its base level that they're asking for?
Yes, sure. So it would require a birth certificate, a passport, and let me pull up the list. Those are the two big ones. And I think the real suppressive measure is that the names have to match, right? So for example, you have to have one of those documents and the names on it have to match, which is the issue in particular with women that have changed their name or anyone else that has changed their name. You might not necessarily have a birth certificate that actually matches the name that you've got on your other documents. But let me go pull this up really quickly. So, okay. So you within ballots cannot be counted if citizenship has not been verified And it requires a photo ID, driver's license, social security number to vote absentee, and the pressure to actually go to the clerk in person with the aforementioned passport or birth certificate. And Elizabeth, the trainings, we have them weekly at the Voters Not Politicians website. I just see your question in the chat. So I'll make sure I share that. We've got a running calendar. If you check out our Mobilize, you can see them too. And we'll make sure that you get them. And Cindy, accessing the flyers, again, I'll send that link. You can just order the flyers from the link that I'm going to share. So I will share the trainings sign up, and I will make sure that you guys know how to order literature.
Thank you, Christy. And now are you going to move on to the money out of politics? Great.
Will.
This is a big one.
Yeah, it is. Okay, they're both really big. So, all right, let's get started. All right, everyone can see my screen, right? Okay. So, we're dealing with an authoritarian creep. Everyone's very worried about this right now. I absolutely love that you guys are out there trying to track what ICE is doing with detaining people in banned books. One of the ways that we can help break through the culty stranglehold that the MAGA movement has right now is actually by tackling corruption. And I'm particularly excited about our campaign to get money out of politics because of that, because it really brings people together. So this is who is a part of the formal steering committee for our push to get money out of politics right now. Clean Water Action, Detroit Action, Moses Action, Michigan United, Michigan League of Conservation Voters, Climate Cabinet, and the Hip Hop Caucus. If any of you are affiliated with other organizations that would like to formally join, please do. We are recruiting right now, and a lot of other organizations are going through the steps to actually join and start circulating with us. I do want to lift up Distill Social. They've been really key in supporting this effort in the area too. So everyone knows, thank you for the glowing characterization of Voters Not Politicians when we started. We are, as you know, nonpartisan. We're here for structural reforms for democracy. Even though we fixed gerrymandering, even though we expanded access to the ballot, we still all saw how Lansing ground to a halt and broke down during the lame duck session. And that was almost entirely due to the corrupting influence of money in politics. So unless we tackle this, we will not have the kind of democracy that we deserve. We know what this means. Again, I'm going to not belabor this, but wildly popular measures, like, for example, measures to tackle climate change, measures to expand access to healthcare, all sorts of things, they don't move because the corporate interests that are profiting off of the current way that we do things are buying our politicians. It's that simple. So again, oil and gas money, you can see the chart here. That tipping point where it starts going through the roof is, of course, Citizens United. These do stand up to Citizens United. I will get to that in a second. DTE is one of the worst actors. I don't believe you guys have to worry about DTE up in Benzie County, but they do have a really interesting corporate structure, and they really are all over the state. DTE Vantage might be one of the entities that operates various things in Benzie County, but I digress. So we see consistent rate hikes and some of the worst service in the nation. And this is a structural problem. This is a bipartisan issue. It requires a nonpartisan solution. And I really want to belabor that because there are lots of really fantastic people that run for office that are doing it for the right reasons. And because we are dealing with this structural flood of money into politics, they are at a constant systemic disadvantage because of that. So $67 million in state legislative races alone was what was spent last cycle. And that's only in competitive districts. So the amount of money pouring in there gets even smaller because even though we did successfully tackle gerrymandering, we still have a geographic distribution that doesn't make all districts as competitive as we would like them to be. So there are three components to this, and it goes after a pay to play scheme. And because it directly tackles the corruption between state regulated entities and corporate entities that have a contract with the state, it is held up to Citizens United in 15 other states. So it will really severely restrict and limit the amount of money that our regulated utilities can put into the political system. Any government contractor that has a contract worth $250,000 or more with the state would be effectively banned from giving money to elected officials and parties. And it would close the issue ad loophole, which is a provision that we have, I think it might only be in Michigan. We're considered the Wild West of campaign spending, where if you're using a particular type of campaign money, independent expenditure money, there's this window of time where you don't actually have to ever report that that kind of money is paying for the ad that you're running. So as long as you don't say the words vote for or against, you can say, Betsy Coffia eats dogs and cats, for example. I think we all know Betsy doesn't because she's amazing. But you can do that kind of spending and put out that kind of disinformation and not disclose where it's coming from. So it would close that, and folks would have to disclose who's funding various attack ads that are not necessarily factual, right? So again, this is a bipartisan problem. One of the most egregious examples from the past couple years was the $100,000 contribution that landed in one of Joe Tate's PAC accounts the day that electricity went out, in some cases for multiple weeks, for lots of Detroiters. I think we all know that former Speaker Lee Chatfield is currently being investigated for corruption. State Senate Majority Leader Arlen Meekoff, I think he left office in 2018. The 501c4 nonprofit account that he opened while he was state Senate Majority Leader is currently earning 6 figures of interest, and the only people on the board of that nonprofit are his family members. We can see the pattern. Again, this is structural. We have to go after it, and by going to the voters, because elected officials aren't going to check it themselves, much like gerrymandering, right? So regulated gas and electric utilities are going to be banned from making contributions. This is the list of elected officials that they are not going to be able to contribute to. And that is because the governor appoints the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission actually regulates the utilities. The state legislature writes the laws that give the Michigan Public Service Commission the authority and latitude to regulate the utilities. The Attorney General intervenes or not on behalf of ratepayers in the Michigan Public Service Commission. And of course, state and local party committees are the candidate pipeline. So we need to make sure that when people are even considering running for office, DTE isn't buying them right out of the gate. So these are the definitions of the various entities. People tend to be really interested in this. I've shared this presentation with Jim. It's a lot of words. We don't have a lot of time. But if you're interested in the legalities and digging even deeper, please reach out. Again, we are pushing this particular policy because it's held up to Citizens United. And of course, it's not just utilities. Here we see Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield has millions of dollars in contracts with our state government. And they heavily intervene to make sure that our state legislation addressing all the different issue areas that Blue Cross Blue Shield touches on benefits them. And there are really important healthcare reforms that did not make it through when Democrats had control of the state legislature because of how much money Blue Cross Blue Shield gives. You can see some of the top contributors to the state, and you can see how they line up with the contractors. So these are top contributors. These are government contractors. So again, that pay-to-pay scheme is what holds up to Citizens United. So that's the structure that we're relying on. And it happens to actually go after some of the top contributors to our elected officials in the state legislature. So we've been over this. If you have a contract with the state, you are not allowed to give money to the elected officials that are going to be writing laws that are going to affect how much money you make off that contract, right? So this is, again, the list of people that contractors will not be able to give money to. And this language right here, any entity that is affiliated with candidates for state or local elections that spends more than $500, the intent there is to go after the 501c4 loophole. So that's a very specific loophole in Michigan that was set up actually during the Engler era. It hasn't been around forever. This is, an Engler legacy issue. And those 501c4s are where elected officials are instructed by caucus leadership to put money that they don't want their constituents to know about. So it's a huge problem. And we very specifically need to go after those 501c4s. That is not allowable in other states. And it's a huge part of the reason why the Michigan state legislature is as corrupt as it is. So again, we modeled this off of legislation that's held up in other states. So this isn't going to fix the whole problem, but it takes a really big run at it. And like I said, this is how we are going to be able to talk to people across the political spectrum and bring people together. We actually had a MAGA Republican testify in support of our language at the Board of State Canvassers, which is very exciting. And this closes the issue ad loophole. I definitely have gone over 12 minutes. So I just want to do a time check. Should we stop now?
Yeah, we need to move on, Christy.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. I'd be happy to follow up over email and answer questions, get more information, and make sure people can get a circulator training.
Great. Are there any questions on chat? Do you see any questions?
Oh, I see one question. If DTE is my gas utility, is there a choice? And Marcia, is this information available on the VNP website? Marcia, I don't think the presentations are, but it definitely links to mopupmichigan.org, which is the campaign website. So go check that out. If DTE is your gas utility, probably not. They're regulated utilities. And the reason why they're regulated by the state through the Michigan Public Service Commission is because they're a state sanctioned monopoly. So in a lot of cases, other than completely unplugging your house from the grid and not using the grid, or the pipelines if it's gas, right? Then you probably don't have a choice. But I'd have to actually look at your service area to try and figure out the specific contractual relationship there. But it's unlikely.
Yeah. Okay.
One more question here.
We got one question.
Rebecca, is it Christy? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would suggest that those people who go to that petition where they're trying to get that proof of citizenship, that there be a rider on any bill to require 4-year moratorium, if passed, to allow time for all citizens to bring proof of citizenship to their next driver license renewal and get such proof put on their driver license. And the people standing around can figure out for themselves that will add cost to their taxes, and let it go at that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So, we can't make them change their ballot language, but I think that what you suggested is a great angle to go at it with friendly folks in the state legislature, like your amazing state representative, Betsy Coffia.
Are there other petitions that are being circulated that we should know about?
Yeah, and Invest in My Kids is really exciting. And I think that there's an Invest in My Kids presentation coming up. So I won't step on their toes. Those are the two that I'm most excited about, but there are quite a few. So Mop Up Michigan is the one to get money out of politics, Invest in My Kids, properly fund schools by taxing some of the wealthiest people in Michigan. There's ranked choice voting too. You guys can go check that one out. And I think those are the three that are getting the most attention.
Yeah, Christy, we do have ranked choice voting coming up right now.
Oh, great.
And then,
okay.
And then after that, we will have Invest in My Kids.
Then I will stop talking and hand over the mic.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to, before you just stop, let's thank Christy for
thank you
all her great work.
Thank you.
And I will follow up and make sure everyone has those links. Thank you so much. I wish I could be there in person.
I wish you could too.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now I am happy to introduce live and in color from Traverse City. We have Barb Smith with us. She's part of the ranked choice voting effort that's going on out there. And I think you are pretty much to do this. Get a slideshow here. Let's see what happens.
And let me share it.
Can I share it?
A momento.
Go. Yep. Okay. You're good to go.
Yeah, I do. All right.
Speak.
Are we up? Okay, good. All right. Hello, I'm Barb Smith. I'm a volunteer with Rank My Vote. We're a grassroots, all volunteer, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, folks like you that want to bring ranked choice voting to the ballot in 2026. Because of that, we've launched a petition drive. Katie, who is here with other petitions, has petitions, and I will be here after so we can get as many signatures as possible. Thank you for that. So the quick speed run, there's a lot of information. We're not going to go over it today, but ranked choice voting is an upgrade to the way we currently vote. And the reason is because of those systemic issues that we see in elections. Good candidates can't really get elected. What we use right now is single choice, and we feel that it fails Michigan voters in many ways. One of the biggest is that it splits majorities. So if you have more than 2 people running for office, the winner of the election may often be elected with only 30%, 35%. Okay, and that's not a majority. And the other 65, 70% of those voters feel very disenfranchised when the legislation reflects that minority win. We feel that splitting majorities creates unrepresentative winners, and it also increases negativity. We can see now that many candidates can win merely by attacking their opponent. We need desperately in our country to bring down the temperature of our politics, and this is one way to do it. Just looking ahead to the upcoming governor race, this is just an example. If we've got 3 strong candidates running, and early polling shows the breakout 35, 34, 22. None of those are a majority. So how do you vote in ranked choice voting? Well, number one, you only have to go to the ballot once, but you're going to be given a grid to fill out, and you can express your preferences for candidates completely and fully. The big change you'll see is that it requires a majority, 50% plus 1 to win. Other states have this, such as Georgia, but if nobody meets the requirement, you have to come back a month later. So there's a delay to have that special runoff. There's the expense to have a special runoff, and voter turnout will drop significantly. So it's less of a measure of what do the voters in that community really want. With ranked choice voting, number one, we require a majority to win office. Number two, we give you the option to fill out your rankings completely one time, and you don't have to come back. We can go to instant runoff. If nobody meets that majority requirement, the lowest vote getter is going to be dropped in that next round of instant runoff. And I tell people, your candidate may be dropped out of the runoff race, but your vote is not. It will transfer to your next ranked candidate if you happen to like the one that nobody else did. Often the case for me. And this is repeated until we see that 50% win. Single choice does not ensure that a majority winner is going to come out of that election. And what happens is you get that third candidate running. That's where you're going to split. So we talk about the Star Wars universe where Luke runs against Darth Vader, and in a head-to-head, Luke would win 60% because the Purple Party likes the Star Wars theory, and Darth loses at 40%. But if Leia steps up, actually gives the voters more people to choose from, but it splits the vote. And Darth doesn't get any more votes, but now he wins. And the 60% in the Purple Party are left out. So where is it used? It's used statewide in Maine, statewide in Alaska, across the country in more than 60 cities. Australia's used it for 100 years, and Ireland uses it. You'll also see it's how we pick the best player for Major League Baseball. It's how we pick out best actor and actress with the Academy Awards. Why? Because it's a good indication about what the majority of that pool of voters prefers. Voter turnout goes up, and when they poll these voters that are using it, they find it easy to use and like it. That is not what the opposition will tell you. Ranked choice voting gives voters the chance to vote for candidates that align with their values. You don't have to be a political analyst anymore, because people will say it's so hard, but it's not hard to know what you prefer. It's not hard to know what you like. What's hard is going, well, I really like this person. I'm really afraid of that person. So let me be a political analyst and figure out where should I put my vote, because I'm voting my fears and not my hopes. Ranked choice voting lets you vote for what you want. And then you can also vote for, indicate if it goes to runoff, this is my next choice, my next choice. It rewards positive campaigns and promotes collaboration. If a candidate wants to get a majority of votes, they need to talk to the majority of voters. They cannot depend on just a base, a 30%, 35% base. They can't get away with attack ads purely because the majority of voters want to hear about the issues. And when they legislate, they want those issues addressed. You're not going to get reelected by just legislating for the base. So we've talked about how it's used statewide. In Michigan, 5 cities have individually voted in the option of ranked choice voting. However, they're not allowed to use it because it calls for a ballot reformat. And so the legislature, anybody in control says, oh, we can't change the way the ballot looks. So instead of arguing that point in court, what we'd like to do is change the Michigan Constitution to allow it. And those cities would be able to use it automatically. Whoops. So what does the amendment do? It's gonna, in the primaries, we'll see it used within the primaries. We're not changing partisan primaries, but within those primaries, ranked choice voting would be used. In the general election, we'll see it used for top of the ticket offices such as Secretary of State, Attorney General, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, U.S. House, U.S. Senate, and presidential. And those localities that have voted it in will be allowed to use it, but smaller localities are not required to use it. That is very much a home rule thing. Well, we're writing an amendment to the Constitution. We're throwing in some things that we already do customarily and we'd love to see continue, such as allow voters to vote if they're in line at the close of polls. We all expect it. It's happening. It's not protected in our Constitution. Guarantee the right to paper ballots, enable write-in candidates. And a big change that you would notice is to move primaries from, when are they, in August, to June. And there was a lot of feedback from the clerks on that. And it's just too short of a turnaround between winning a primary and launching a race to be in November. It's too short of a time frame for them to get those absentee ballots formatted, printed, and out. So that's something the clerks really supported. So right now we're in signature gathering phase. We're in the sprint and we need a lot of signatures. 611,231 we've got to the end of the year to do it. We launched this campaign July 17th and we're working hard. We're working hard to do it. What's making it happen is people that would join up, they sign our petition, they volunteer to help circulate, they donate, and we ask like a $5 donation. We're grassroots, nonprofit. Even the top campaign director and the executive director are not paid positions. This is, we build our own clipboards. We print our flyers. We're just doing whatever we can. If we succeed in getting on the ballot, and then we'll go into a high gear education all next year so people know what they're voting for and why we think it's a good idea. Any questions?
Great.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a question. Actually, I have at least 2 questions.
Oh, boy.
First one is based on the fact that in the 2024 presidential election here in Michigan, about 1.2 million eligible voters didn't vote. We had a turnout of about 79% of active voters. How would and what would ranked choice voting do to change that and to improve that?
The data.
Next question is, I'm going to get them all in.
Okay,
so
get it.
You can take it. The next question is, what % of all state, local, national elections in the state of Michigan occurred in the past, say, 5 years, had more than 2 candidates in which ranked choice voting might have made a difference?
Okay, so the first one, there is data that shows that voter turnout goes up, as much as 17%. And when you think about an election, that's a significant amount of increased voters. The reason why, or one of the reasons, is that because voters feel their vote counts. Right now, many people live in districts that are safe for the party that maybe they don't prefer, which means they can vote every election and makes absolutely no difference to the outcome. So after a while, they kind of give up because they're like, well, I'll go vote, but it doesn't make any difference. But data shows that it goes up. As to your second.
Where is that data from?
Fairvote.org is where I send people. They are a good compilation of research and data on ranked choice voting in action. It's the best place to look. The next question is, I cannot answer that, but I think all of you can think of times where it might have made a difference. One thing, especially for people our age, who remembers the effect that Ralph Nader had on an effect, Bush, Gore, and Nader. That was a third-party candidate, and we want to have choices. We want people with new ideas to stand up and run for election. But with our current system, they become labeled a spoiler. That would have never happened with ranked choice voting. Another election, thinking back to Senior Bush, Clinton, and Perot, another strong, a very strong third-party candidate at the time. And that could have thrown the election a whole different way too. So I don't have any answer for that, but we do, I think if you think of your personal experience, when do you see more than two people? Presidential elections, Michigan has a lot of parties.
Yeah, and yeah, Jill Stein did it this last one, just a couple percentage, but that was an.
Any other questions?
I have more of a comment that just recently the Republicans in Lansing in the House passed a bill to attempt to outlaw ranked choice voting. It now heads to the Senate where it will hopefully die because we have slight Democratic majority there. But I think it just goes to show that Republicans know that ranked choice voting will give us an upper hand.
Good.
Okay,
one last thing. We do want your signature before you leave, and I can get
one more question.
Question. We got a question on the chat.
Go ahead.
Well, recounts are diplomat told General, does ranked choice voting make recounts thornier? No.
Not really. I mean, you can hand recount. If you think about Australia has been doing this for 100 years, they didn't have tabulator machines back then, and it's very easy, especially with those paper ballots. So it's quite doable.
great. Well, let's thank Barb for her excellent presentation. And as she said, there are petitions in the House and you can sign them, and there's lots of ways to get involved in that, as with the VNP project as well. This is your chance to be an activist, folks. And now we're going to hear from Kate Gallup, a last-minute substitute coming into the game, late in the game here, to talk about Invest in My Kids. Hi, Kate. How you doing? Thanks for being here. You going to sit down and talk, or what are you going to do?
Yes, I have the presentation also on my phone, and they're pulling it up. They're pulling it up for me. So if I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at my notes. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate. I'm a distributor with Distill Social for both the Mop Up Michigan that was talked about and Invest in My Kids. And I'm also collecting for ranked choice votes. So I have some of my things circulating around. If you don't understand it, just don't sign in and then ask us after. Okay. So I'm so glad you guys can listen to this today. Invest in My Kid is a initiative to raise over $1 billion annually for our schools in Michigan. And okay, so they've got it up, but it's not quite going yet. But so on the second slide of that's not up there yet. Yeah, the second slide.
One more?
Yeah, one more back. Okay, so it says we must make our choice. We may have democracy or we may have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we cannot have both. From Louis Brandeis, 1924. So we're starting with that quote from former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, because this campaign is about schools and it's also about more than that. Public education is the cornerstone of our democracy, and how we fund it goes to the heart of this nation and who we choose to become. Okay, and so third slide, I might come back. This movement began growing in 2015, and it looked at the past 20 years of school policy. And although there have been some work to start making improvements in school funding, there's been major setbacks like COVID, and then also recently the loss of COVID funds, which had been buoying our school budgets. Additionally, although there have, like I just recently heard, like they're increasing the per student amount of funding that's given, in inflation adjusted dollars, we're at our lowest funding levels we've ever been at in like 20 years. So if we go to the next slide. Oh, wait. No, we're not. Oh, that's at the end of the slides. Can you go to the fourth slide? Sorry about the tech issues. Yes, perfect. Okay. So here's a chart that is looking at data over the past 10 years. And it shows shows standardized test scores. Can you hit one more button that should create a curve? Not the slide, just can you hit next? Just like the arrow should have an animation.
Yeah.
There it goes. Okay. So one measurement of student achievement in Michigan is the National Achievement Scores. And so we see this drop in achievement in Michigan that has correlated to our drop in funding. So in the early 2000s, Michigan students were above the national average. And around 2007, the score started to drop significantly. So even before COVID and other learning loss in Michigan, we were having a setback in our educational achievement. Okay, so can you go to the next slide? Okay, so our school funding dropped. In the early 2000s, we were spending about $21 billion annually on schools. Starting in 2003, we saw that level begin to drop, where it dipped for 20 years to the level around 16 to 18 billion. Then we saw an uptick, but it only goes back up to 2004 levels. Okay, you can go to the next slide. And so we're behind. Our schools have about a $5 billion at least dollar shortfall right now, and even potentially more if we want to upgrade our schools to be in our 21st century skills that we're behind in. Okay, so we have to raise funds fairly in a time of growing inequality. So one way to address this funding gap is that we're proposing the Invest in My Kids, which is a income tax surcharge. And the surcharge will, yeah, you can go to the next slide.
You got it. You can go.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so if you can make it, that's fine. So this is a constitutional amendment to begin in 2027, add an additional 5% tax on annual taxable incomes over $1 million and for over $500,000 single filers. So the way the surcharge would work, let's say you made $1 million filing jointly, you have, or sorry, let's say you made $1,001,001. Now that $1 will have this extra 5% surcharge. And so that would be 5 cents of that dollar taken to go to schools. It doesn't tax you on all the extra $1 million, right? So you're not paying on that the extra 5%. It's only the amount made over. So it's a surcharge on the amount made over for these high income filers in Michigan. And That money would go to the school aid fund, which would then be distributed to your local school district classrooms, career and technical education, help reduce class size, and help recruit and train teachers. And so this will help. It won't eliminate our budget shortfall. Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Let's wait for questions, please.
Okay, you can go to the next slide. That's a great. Yeah. Okay. So does this apply to business? It does not apply to business except for your income tax that you would pay on business earnings, right? So if you're like a sole proprietor, then a lot of that is your income. So then it would apply, but only on how it is looked at as income tax, not specifically business tax. And will this double the income tax? Our current rate is about 4.25%, which everyone pays regardless of their income. Whether you make $1 billion or $1, you pay that same percentage. And this surcharge only applies to our high earners, and that income tax rate for Michigan is still set by the Michigan legislature. And a lot of people say, well, doesn't the lottery fund our schools? The lottery funds about 6% of our school budgets. So it's not going to make up our shortfalls. Okay, and you can go to the next slide. So we have a lot of people that are part of our coalition. There's even more than that's on this, but I'm working with Distill Social as a circulator, but I've also initially got involved with this through a tax reform group. I don't know if they're actually, and the 42 Forward. Yeah, so we have a lot of different groups. You can go to the next slide. Okay, and the important thing is that this is a group formed of family and people who care about Michigan kids. Anyone actually who cares about the investing. It's called Invest in My Kids. And so it's kind of looking towards that. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So just like the other ranked choice voting, this is a constitutional amendment, unlike MOP, which was talked about, which is an initiation of legislation. So we have to collect enough signatures to get this on the ballot for a constitutional amendment. And we're planning to collect way beyond the amount needed, which is over 400,000 is the amount like needed, but we're going to collect about 7,000, and we're hoping to get, 700,000 signatures, and we're hoping to get at least 7,000 volunteers for this. And so we got this approved over the summer and started collecting, and also have until just about the end of the year to collect all those signatures. So last slide. Yeah. Okay, so you can sign up to volunteer at investinmykids.org. I also have a sheet actually that I'll send around, or you can talk to me to sign up to volunteer, which would be great. And I'm also with Distill Social, like I said, distributing for both MOP and Invest in My Kids. So you can, if you sign up to volunteer, you can sign up for one or the other or both. Okay, so any questions? You can go last slide. Yes.
I just think that investing in kids is our future. That's what we need to do, is invest in our future. I just read a really interesting, it was a statistical study that was doing on the national IQ rate. And it has significantly, I mean, everybody, it's significantly dropping. And that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was the question about, can you say your question again? Oh.
What would keep the state legislature from just defunding schools by that amount of money?
Okay, there's nothing. So this would create a constitutional amendment. So it would permanently add this money from income taxes as a surcharge to the school aid fund, regardless of what Congress does. So they couldn't fully defund because this money would be there, but it would not at all meet the budget. It also doesn't protect against Michigan changing the rate of income tax percentage that you normally pay, because they set that rate. It's currently 4.25%. They could lower it as well. But this does guarantee that the pool of money will always be there for the school aid fund from this specific initiative. So how do we prevent them from defunding schools? We fight like hell. We elect the right people. You know, all the other things that we're doing, this is just an addition to that.
We have one more question here.
As you know, the level of funding for different districts in Michigan is vastly different. And if one particular county or school district has many, many millionaires, and up here we may not have that, does that money just stay in that school district, the extra money, or is it distributed throughout the whole state education system?
So it goes into the school aid fund and is distributed in accordance with the policies regarding that, which they are doing a lot of things to try to balance that per pupil funding. And so some school districts are out of formula, which often means that they're higher funded, but they would most likely not be getting other funding until the commitments by that school aid fund are met on their first priorities of need as it's currently distributed. So the answer is I can't guarantee, but hopefully it would be wisely used, right? At the same time, everything depends on the policies that we have. I know I am running out of time, but just really quickly, I want to say for when you're signing ballot measures, you should be reading that language. You should be making sure which one you're signing. You should be putting most likely your township that you vote in. That's where you're registered to vote when you see that line. And just making sure that you're doing that. If you make a mistake when you're doing something, you just cross out the whole line and start over, unfortunately. And also, on each of the ballot petitions at the top, it says, are you volunteer, signature, or paid? So that's something to pay attention to when you're looking at ballot petitions as well. And you should only be signing for your county. So each sheet goes by county. So if you're from another county, we can always create another sheet for that, but just don't sign in the wrong county. And if you have questions, just ask the circulator. You can always skip it and come back. So I look forward to having you guys sign for Invest in My Kids. Thank you.
have a question for just a second. Piggybacking on that, for those of you here, the only city in Benzie County is Frankfort. Everybody else should sign with their township in which they are registered to vote. As well, the signature that you use needs to be the signature that's on your driver's license or legal ID. Oh. You should have. Yeah, you can, but you should not.
There's a question on whether or not we can have the petitions here at the building for people to drop in and sign. I believe that's a no, correct?
Like here I'm looking at people that are signing, and we're supposed to be visually seeing you when you sign. So we can, if someone wants to be a circulator and wants to be here when it's signed, they absolutely can do that. That's totally fine, but you can't just have it left for someone to sign without the person who's going to sign that I witnessed the signature. You can't just leave it without the witness. But anyone can be a circulator, so let us know.
Thank you, Kate. Okay, and with that, we are at the end of our meeting. There's a lot of interesting people in the room to talk to, including some candidates, some petition circulators, some others. We hope you'll stick around, help us finish the coffee and the breakfast treats. and set yourself up for a great Saturday afternoon. Our next meeting is 4 weeks from today, October 18th. We will have a meeting in the morning, then we will have sign making, and then we're going to rock Benzonia at the top of the hill with a demonstration from 2 until 3:30 as part of the National No Kings 2. Would you like to,
Yes.
let's hear from Rebecca. Come on up here and talk to both us and to the people on the Zoom.
Sorry. Okay, I'll keep it brief because I know you're anxious to get out of here. My name's Rebecca Amidon. I am running for the Michigan State Senate in District 32.
Start over.
Okay, my name's Rebecca Amidon. I'm running for the Michigan State Senate in District 32. If you remember, Terry Sabo is who ran for that district in 22. I was his social media director. I've seen this race run before. He only lost by 5.6%. I am working very closely with Lansing right now. They are calling this one of the most watched races in the state because of how flippable it is. Now I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I live in Manistee. My family moved here in 2020 from Indiana. We were looking somewhere that had that small town feel. We absolutely love and adore Northern Michigan. I'm an adjunct community college professor. I teach communication and social media management. I'm married to my wonderful husband, Ryan. Together we have 2 children, 5 and 2 years old. And you might be thinking, oh my goodness, how is she going to do this with 2 kids? I have to do this because I have little kids. I refuse as a mother to allow them to grow up in a fascist country. And it is important for us to remember that no matter the chaos that comes at the federal level, it is the states that hold the line. And that the state Senate are our guardians, not just lawmakers. They are the ones that pass the laws, that restore common sense. When things are happening at the federal level, fine. But we can protect ourselves by keeping Michigan blue. Okay. Now, please, I'd love to see everyone there at our Benzie launch. I gave all my flyers away. Thursday, the 25th, 2 to 4, right here. We're going to have some baked goods, some coffee. It's very important because these petitions we talked about today, I support them. We have to get money out of politics. When politicians take corporate-backed money, they are no longer representing us. I am not a corporate establishment Democrat. I am a mother and an educator that believes that government is of the people, by the people, for the people. And so this is a grassroots campaign. So I need your support. So I hope to see everyone on Thursday. I have more information talking about the issues that I support, fully funding our public schools, addressing the child care crisis, a living wage, affordable housing, health care for all. So, there's a bill called My Care in the House right now, which is universal health care for Michiganders because our health care system is going to collapse in the coming years, and Michigan has to be prepared. We have to take care of our own. I hope to see you on Thursday. I'm going to stick around, answer any questions, talk to me, okay? As long as you want.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Wow. Cool. And with that, again, I'll say our next time is October 18th, 4 Saturdays from now. And come for the meeting, stay for the coffee and sign making after, and then we'll scoot over to Benzonia and make some noise. Thank you all very much.